I was born in Jellicoe, 1940, a little town 100 miles northeast of Thunder Bay on Highway 11. My father was a crane operator, and they were putting up a gold mine. He was raising the steel there just for 3 months, so I was only 3 months in Jellicoe. Then I moved to Thunder Bay and lived in Thunder Bay then. As far as my vocation to the priesthood, I still remember, and it reminds me really of the experience of Jesus when he went to the temple. That somehow he went to the temple and he had an experience there, and he came out and he knew what he was going to do. He knew he had to be about his Father's business. While I was in the church there, I remember one day, I remember the church and all the pictures and everything around, and I had that experience there also that, you know, when I came out of there, I knew I was going to be a priest, and that has stayed with me ever since. I come to know the Jesuit fathers there. I was an altar boy, but when I came out of that church, I knew I was going to be a priest. Then in grade 13, I wasn't wondering how to go about it, and I remember the pastor of St. Andrew's Church called me in one day and started talking to me about the Jesuits, and after half an hour of inspiring talk, he had me visit 2 other priests who interviewed me also, and I was signing on the dotted line my application to the Jesuits. That was back in 19 Okay, I was ordained in 1971 at St. Andrew's Church, and since then I've been working in the Jesuit missions of Northern Ontario. I still remember when I was studying philosophy down in Spokane, Washington. I used to go with a group of Jesuits down to the Nez Perce Indians with the children and teaching catechism there. Then on my way back from philosophy, I stopped in at St. Andrew's Church, at St. Anne's Church on the Reserve, met Father Maurice, and again met Native people there. From there, I went and I was teaching in Loyola in Montreal and then in Toronto in high school. And my decision then was that was not where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do as a Jesuit. Rather, it was with these Native people that I had come to know. So that's where I've been stationed then after I was ordained in 1972 right until the present time. I think what touched me most was the faith of the people. That's what moved me, and I know that the question was when I began with them, looking and seeing their faith, and the question, why is it then they don't have their spiritual leaders as far as priests and deacons and so on, and that, you know, they've got the faith and they should have their own spiritual leadership. So that was the first step then, that question, and the organization of a diaconate program as a possibility of giving the Native people some spiritual leadership from within. And then we also began the ministry program, inviting more people to take part in the life of the church, their investment in the church. And so, but it was basically the faith of the people that really moved me. And there was a particular incident then that really made a difference. In 1982, I was in Thunder Bay, and Grace Escuega was in charge of related to the ministry program that we had. And she told me then, you know, we do ministry, our deacons, they'll work in the church, but once we come to know who we are as a Native people, then you won't have to ask us to come and do something in the church. We'll be coming and asking you. And so that kind of sat with me about finding out who we are as a Native people and working that as a base. From that then began the whole venture of the Native traditional spirituality, touching base with that. People like Sister Eva Solomon and some of the Native elders in the community, and working from there, and then beginning to practice some of the traditions and getting in touch with them, and then having them being practiced in the church and seeing the response. But it was a growth process, people getting used to it, and that continued. And then I think eventually it led to the idea of a native Catholic church where the native traditions and Catholic traditions can work well together and support and really help bring each to life. I've become very good friends with very many native people, and when I went there, just the way they welcomed me and how they respected me, and I was from the outside, but yet I became part of the community. And being part of the community, I was involved in the life of the community, whether it was in the fishing and the hunting with them, and in the liturgical services, journeying with them in the funerals and the different celebrations of life. And it was all very life-giving to me.